what it's like for you and what you think it's like for the school to have a recent presidential candidate come to speak.
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's fantastic, but I also think we shouldn't think that it's an unusual thing. In this room in the last 10 years, we've had Kofi Annan, we've had General Powell, we've had Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton is going to be here next week. So, this is what universities should do, and people should want to come to City College. They should want to come and address our faculty and our students. I think we shouldn't be surprised when important people come to City College, because we're important, and this is a place where people should want to come to speak and say what they have to say. So it's great. We're excited about it, but it's not a unique event.
I think that it's like a very honoring thing, especially like after an election that has so much attention and so much controversy, and being able to actually see and hear from a presidential candidate.
Well, it's a big deal because, as you know, there's a number of third-party candidates who often run, but the Green Party is one of the more major of the minor parties, and so having somebody come to City College, I think is really good for the students, and also good for the candidates. They can see who we are and what we think.
Tonight is the fourth annual Anna Bernard Spitzer Lecture in International Security. I want to talk just a little bit about that lecture. And one of the things that we've done, I think, really well at City College over the last 15 or 20 years or so, is to talk to people, primarily people who graduated from City College, about what the needs of this institution are to deepen the intellectual culture on campus. And one of the ways in which these people have responded to us has been, primarily alumni have given us resources to bring in faculty members that we might not otherwise attract, and ask them to think about and sponsor lectures like the lecture that you're going to hear today.
It's especially an honor to be here at the City College, which is really kind of a model of international relations, as it should be, for being an institution that brings people together. That we cannot afford to make public higher education free, which is what it ought to be as a basic human right in this country. In fact, we know it pays for itself many times over, but we are basically being bankrupted by a military budget that is off the charts and completely unprecedented in the history of the world, and also relative to other countries around the world too.
So first off, I wanted to ask you what you would say to people who are hesitant about joining the Green Party movement in fear that it won't have enough popularity to really make change and maybe go more towards a democratic system or the Democratic Party as a lesser of two evils.
Great. So I think we have seen decades of work on that strategy, that if we just did the right thing, if we just got enough people involved, we make the right thing happen. But the last election showed us what happens when you do all the right things, which Bernie Sanders' campaign did. And then after the election, you had the DNC refuse to reform. So it's like, how long are we going to continue down this path? In my view, it's been really clearly established that the Democratic Party is where movements go to die. That doesn't mean it's simple to change things. But in fact, most Americans now have divorced the Democratic and Republican parties, which are now, they run between 25 to 30%, each of them. So most people are clamoring for something else, and I think we've seen the system crash and burn enough. It's like breaking up with an abusive relationship. People keep making excuses for their abuser. It's time to break up and get our lives back together while we still have a fighting chance.
You touched on so many things that are not highlighted and not focused on that are very important to not only our livelihood, but the livelihood, of course, of our earth and our country, the world, everything as a whole. What would you say to students that are overwhelmed by all of the information that's coming in and how to discern where to find quality information and also where to look for information that is less mainstream but incredibly important?
Yes. So I think the main thing, is to get yourself off of the corporate media channels, and that includes, the MSNBCs and the CNNs that pretend to be the liberal perspective, but it's the neoliberal perspective, and it's quite dangerous as well. I think it's very important to tune into the grassroots media. The public radio station here in New York City is a very good one. Democracy Now! Is very good. Other alternative media, Consortium News, Noam Chomsky, the Real News Network. There are many alternative perspectives on international relations, on domestic issues, on working people's issues.
I just wanted to ask you about the importance of student media and on-campus media, because while we do have mainstream, it's obviously very important for students to be engaged. So if you could just talk to me about student media.
And I was remiss not to mention that. Absolutely. In public media and alternative media, student media is obviously huge because you're not dependent on corporate contributions and because you reflect the views of millennials who are the victims of this predatory economy, an education system that also has become profit-making and predatory, and the general system in which millennials are the latest cash cow to have profit squeezed out of. So your point of view is very important, and I can't thank you enough for doing the work that you do.